Alright, hello everyone, my name is Shep, welcome back to the Butcher's Circus, and today I'm gonna be playing with the trusty Shep's Dress. So I'm playing against Willises, which is a familiar face from the past. This is someone that has been around since almost the beginning of the Butcher's Circus, and that just pops back every now and then, and usually plays teams with Antiquarian with Tears of the Lost, though I did not account for that when I was picking the Shep's Dress. I just thought, you know what, I don't really know what I should bring, so I haven't played Chef's Dress in a while. It's my favorite team, so I might as well bring it, right? It has my 3 favorite characters, so I really can't go wrong with it. So we all know the setup. I have the Abominational Dredge's Cloak and the Red Tiara's Net, so for the push chance, the accuracy, and of course the stress stealth, and most importantly the horror duration after transforming. I have a Man at Arms with Pit Fighter's Helmet and Instance for the tankiness. Not really looking to guard, just looking to be a team support with bolster and command buffs, which is exactly what I'm about to do right now. You transform, you go for the slam, and you immediately start to spam those command buffs to let your aggressive characters, which are the Houndmaster and the Flagellant, make use of their Crimson Hooks and just absolutely shred my opponent's defenses. Now, my opponent is wary of my strategies, so they actually move back with the Antiquarian so they can use the Riposte, which is definitely a smart move. I'm hoping the Riposte will miss, which sadly it doesn't. I'm the one that misses, despite the command buff and despite the Monkey's Paw for an extra 8 accuracy. I guess I still get a little bit unfortunate here, and the Shieldbreaker does dodge, which, you know, is normal. But so does Antiquarian, which is definitely on the unfortunate side of things. My opponent goes for a command buff, surprisingly. I would imagine they would go for a bolster right now just to make me miss and to take a little bit less stress, but since they don't, I will just gladly go for the Reign of Sorrows here. You do have to keep in mind that the Shep's Dress, maybe not the biggest weakness, no, probably the biggest weakness is that the Flagellant doesn't have Reclaim. So if you run Reclaim on the Shep's Dress, it still works, but it just becomes a little bit of a different team. Now, speaking of different teams, I'm about to get ruined by this Shieldbreaker, but it's not the end of the world because I will just move back with my Houndmaster. I have to deal with the Riposte anyway, so I think just moving back with the Doggy is going to be perfectly okay here overall. Did I just fail a 95 blight on the enemy Man at Arms? I did, didn't I? Yeah, that's fun. That is very much fun. Well, I don't really mind it all that much, but yeah, not having the Reclaim means that I can't really hurt the Flagellant, so I can't really drop those infinite sources of healing like Reclaim and things like that onto my other characters. I don't have stuff like a Crusader for direct healing, I don't have stuff like an Arbalist, I don't have stuff like a Musketeer, so if I want to save my characters, they kind of have to rely on their own abilities to do that, unless my opponent just allows me to drop Redeem. But if I hit into a Riposte, I can still go ahead and lower myself to below 14 HP or at 14 HP and drop the Redeems before the Exsanguinates. Hopefully just try and keep the team alive, and then at the end you still have your 3 Exsanguinates. The thing you least want to happen in a stress team Flagellant is to just be the last character standing and you have 2 Redeems left and the 3 Exsanguinates are no, you have 2 Redeems left and you've already expanded, wait, how do you say it? You've already expended all of your Exsanguinates. It's definitely not a very good thing. It doesn't make sense for the damage teams because sometimes you really need that tempo to just keep pushing and make your opponent drop to their store with that extra action, also healing yourself at the same time. Kind of like what we saw 2 days ago with the Vestal's Judgment, something of the likes, but you know, way the hell stronger, of course, because it's a Flagellant, it's not a Vestal. Now, one thing that I do have to deal with here is making a decision. Do I want to bolster or not? I'm gonna decide on the bolster, honestly, because my Doggy has a little bit of dodge, and this is excuse me, this is somewhat of a stress team, so going for the dodge here would be helpful in the long run. So I think just dropping a bolster now and then maybe a bellow next round is going to be perfectly okay. My characters that still want to hit will likely hit if they try excuse me, if they try attacking into them. My Abomination has more than enough accuracy to hit with just 1 command buff. My Flagellant can likely still hit the enemy backline, and things should be overall okay here. Now it's going to be a slam, which might hurt, but it gets a min roll, which is very unfortunate, and doesn't get a push either, which is even more unfortunate, honestly. That means that my flagellant is now in a position to drop his heals, which I very much appreciate, but of course, the biggest misplay I could probably go for right now would be something like just dropping a Rain of Sorrows or something like that. That would be a terrible misplay, because my opponent would immediately click, they can't do it anymore, but they would immediately click, go for a rage, bring me down to 0 HP. After I do that, then I can't guard, I can't do anything. They just have to go puncture into Festering Vapors with a finisher, boom, my flagellant's dead, my team is dying, and overall, I would have a very terrible time, I will say. Now, I have to make a bit of a decision here. I could genuinely go Hansari, and I would be okay. Yeah, I could genuinely drop the Hansari here, and I think I'll turn out alright. So I'm actually going to do it, even though moving back here twice would allow my Flagellant to act and my Abomination to act. I'm okay with this, because my Abomination is still going to transform, so he's doing what he needs to do. My Flagellant just gets to either move forward or drop a redeem, depending on what my opponent wants to do, and the Hansari had a chance of critting, a very serious chance of critting, and also does way more stress than what the other characters are doing. I'm not expecting really to drop any of the other characters to Death's Door by either Rain of Stars or Punish, because there's just way too many Rejuvenating Vapors here, so I feel like just standing there with the command buff and dropping it, and dropping the Harry definitely had a little bit of a better outcome for me. So the Abomination goes Afflicted, he goes Fearful, which is, it's good and bad. Decides to go for the Beast Pile here, staying at Death's Door, which is definitely a risk, but it's okay for my opponent at this point. I'm just gonna go ahead and move forward with the Flagellant, and then my Abomination is gonna transform, move forward, apply a hell of a lot of stress, and this enemy Abomination is pretty much dead at this point, because he's gonna take a little bit of stress from here and there. There's no way he saves, there's no way the Rejuvenating Vapors save him, and of course he can try and delay his death with the Absolution, but it's you can dread it, you can run from it, but Destiny arrives all the same, right? This Abomination will eventually go down, and after the Abomination goes down, the whole rest of the whole building should crumple down, right? Yeah, the rotten building. We can hope for that at least. Well, if you want to go Festering Vapors here, I will most definitely attempt to go for the Deathflow right now. I have one command buff left, and I'm going to drop the Beast Spile right now. There's no way I do 0 damage, so I don't have to deal with that, and I get a 25 death blow because there is no justice in this world, and I think my opponent's already having a very rough time. This team that they have here is definitely competent, but it would be more competent for dealing with something like WD, most likely. It would have the Battle debuffs, it would have the Abomination here, kind of like an all-purpose character, it would have a Shieldbreaker, very dodgy character, maybe go for a pull on the Arballs to just try and disrupt WD heavily, and then you'd have the Antiquarian to get kills whenever they were available, and also drop the Rejuvenating Vapors, but honestly, against any Flagellant stress team, what my opponent has here might be good, but it's just not good enough in my opinion. I don't think they can win anymore. So my opponent kind of played themselves, picking such an odd team, which is just what happens when Chef Stress is something that's available. It's a very competent team, and if you bring something that kind of isn't WD, you are very likely to lose. That's what it feels like playing with Chef Stress. Against WD, it's still gonna have a terrible time because, you know, it just kills your characters, you can't really do too much about it, and even though you have nice stress output, it's probably not gonna be enough. So WD just ends up winning, but against almost every single other team, damn, Chef Stress feels good. Yeah, it does feel good. I'm tooting my own horn here. I'm praising my own team, but I'm allowed to praise my own team, right? I think I've proved to everyone just how potent this one can be, the Chef Stress. Of course, there's way more variants to it, like the Occultist one. That's also a very powerful one, but honestly, it's just the Doggy with the all-purpose, just the Hansari just completely shreds through things, and it is very, very fun to use at the same time, which is a big factor into why I like this team. If the team you play isn't fun to use, or if you don't like using it, then why are you playing with it, honestly? That's kind of a thing that doesn't really make sense to me. Why would you play with something that just makes you just makes you feel bad when you play it. Unless you're like desperately trying to climb up the ladder or something of the likes, and you're just having to play teams that you don't enjoy but that you need to win with. But if you're just taking the Butcher Circus as a game for relaxation and you know, just trying to have fun despite the odds, in spite of the odds really, then you shouldn't really worry too much about things like that. Now, I'm going to drop the Bellow debuff here, hopefully do a little bit more stress. The Shieldbreaker is almost afflicted at this point, so is the Man-at-Arms. My opponent still has a winning chance here, let's be honest. My characters have taken a decent amount of DOT. As long as my opponent doesn't get terrible afflictions at this point, if they had gotten Courageous down the anti-card, that would have been amazing for them, by the way, but yeah. As long as they don't get terrible afflictions right now, they definitely still have a winning chance, but they have gotten Hopeless, and Selfish. And Abusive Antiquarian is not that bad, but Hopeless and Selfish is quite terrible. So I'm not seeing this one go into my opponent's favor, but only time will tell. My Doggy keeps critting the big Doggy that is the enemy abomination, even though he's already dead. It doesn't give you the crit buff, but it actually causes more stress to the enemy characters, you know, the extra 5 stress that you get onto the adjacent characters and all that. Yeah, it's definitely impacting it, which is pretty funny. I would definitely prefer getting a crit on the other characters, not on the bigger Doggy, but you know, I just have to vibe with this, I guess. I'm gonna go ahead and yeah, I guess I'll move forward. Don't really mind it all that much. I don't think I'll go Afflicted just yet, and even if I do, it should be okay. And now I'm gonna drop the Reign of Stars. She's still alive, but let's be honest with the amount of stress she's taking. This is something that's also really good about a team like Chef Stress, is because it has a lot of collateral damage. So even if you don't win through the stress, you force your opponent to go into healing plays, because if they don't go into healing plays, their characters might die prematurely, just like the Abomination. He was greedy and he died. Even if he hadn't died from the death blow there, the stress would have eventually killed him in a few rounds. So you kind of have a win condition and a support win condition, if you want to look at it that way. Now, I have an extra accuracy buff here. I should be able to hit this Antiquarian quite reliably, and I'll drop her to death's door, and also make her have a heart attack right now, so it's going to be all over for her. And it is, as of now, a 4v2 with a Flagellant still in the game with 3 Exsanguinates against the Hopeless Shieldbreaker, and honestly I feel like just the Flagellant and the Abomination will be able to win this match, so I won't prolong this anymore, and let's just skip on to the end. And there we go, Willis has surrendered just a round after, and we will go on for a match number 2. Alright, and here we go, straight into a match number 2, this time against what I believe to be Willis's main team. This is a very defensive team with the Tears of the Lost and with a defensive Doggy. I think this is what they play the most, and it is definitely a team that I remember being a tough nut to crack, so let's see if the Chef Stress can crack it. I will say it will be difficult, but already we do have the advantage of, you know, playing a very aggressive team with Reign of Sorrows and Houndsary, and getting the 50-50 push on the enemy Flagellant. My opponent must be fuming right now, because that should definitely not happen. They have brought the exotics now for 2 reasons. First reason, not getting stunned, which I only have 1 stun and I will likely not be using it. Second reason, not getting pushed, which, yeah. That just happened. I guess I do have the net to try and counter it a little bit, but you know, still very unfortunate for my opponent. I'm surprised they go for the guard here on the Antiquarian. I suppose they don't want to get hit with Reign of Sorrows, which definitely makes sense. Getting hit with Reign of Sorrows doesn't feel too good, I will say, so I'm just gonna go ahead and spam command buffs. I'm not sure if I'll even drop a bolster this match. I'm just gonna drop command buff after command buff after command buff, because I will really need the accuracy if I want to hit this Doggy. I will say I will likely not win this through the damage output, because the Antiquarian will most likely be dropping Rejuvenating Vapors after Rejuvenating Vapors, so I will likely have to win through the stress output, which my opponent has a few ways to mitigate, that's for sure. They dodge, they make someone take practically 0 stress, they have Content of Absolution, and the Man-at-Arms takes half stress, so they can definitely mitigate stress. But unlike the Immortal Musketeer, they cannot heal stress, so whatever I do apply is pretty much there to stay. So the transformations, the odd bellow, every little bit of stress that I do will count very much. So I'm gonna try to, of course, do as much as I possibly can. So right now I'm gonna go for the beast file here. I have an extra 36 accuracy, so still a 59 hit chance onto this Houndmaster, even with the bolster and 1 dodge buff. So if he really wants to start dodging, he's gonna have to drop another guard dog here. If he doesn't drop another guard dog, then, you know, things just get very rough for him. But the way my opponent has to win this is to be aggressive themselves, because I don't have an infinite source of healing. They do. They're the ones that have the infinite source of healing. So they want to kind of neuter my offensive abilities and just also sustain themselves at the same time if they still want to win this match. Now I'm gonna drop the command buff. Wait, what did they drop? Yeah, they dropped the command buff as well. They have realized that they need to go aggressive here if they want to win. Now there is one thing in their favor, which is the fact that they also have Rain of Stars, which I very much agree with. If you already have Rejuvenating Vapors with the Antiquarian, if you bring Rejuvenating Vapors onto Flagellant as well, you're pretty much just signaling your death against a team like Chef's Stress or similar teams. So I definitely agree with the decision to be a little bit more aggressive with that Rain of Stars. But now comes the Houndsari, and as we all know, 2 command buffs equals crits. Say it with me, 2 command buffs equals crits. And we get a crit onto the enemy Antiquarian, I believe. Sadly, I do not get a bleed on the Meta Arms, even with the 90% bleed chance, which is very unfortunate, but you know, what can you do about it? Now I'm gonna go for the Rain of Stars here. I'm surprised my opponent hasn't dropped 2 guard dogs, because my hit chance is... I have 135 accuracy, I have the Jammy Man levels of accuracy, and as we all know, 2 command buffs equals crits. And with the Crimson Hook, I just have so much crit chance on the Chef's Stress, and this is really why you cannot defend against it in a traditional sort of way of just out-sustaining. If you have Riposte, then maybe. If you don't have Riposte, it gets very difficult, because this team, it's make or break. If you break it, then it won't make it, but if you're just trying to defend against it, there's no defense. There's quite literally no defense against the Chef's Stress. It's just gonna absolutely demolish you. One of the main rules of the Butcher Circus is don't let a doggy spam Houndsari. If you let him spam Houndsari, no matter how defensive your team looks, it will eventually collapse. And this doggy is definitely one of them. It will make you collapse here. And even if he doesn't, the Flagellant is there with the support Rain of Sorrows, and the Man at Arms is there to make sure that it sticks the landing with his command buffs. Now here comes the Rejuvenating Vapors. That's definitely going to save their characters from dropping to the store too quickly, at the very least. And I'm thinking whether I should drop another command buff or whether I should drop a bolster now, but I have decided on the command buff. I'm gonna go aggressive. I feel like my opponent's characters are nearing the breaking point, so I'm not gonna take my foot off the pedal right now, just be a little bit more defensive. I'm gonna keep pushing, I'm gonna keep breaking them, and I'm gonna make this team absolutely suffer. Even though this Houndmaster has 92 dodge, it really hasn't worked out too well for him, because Men at Arms exists. Look at me, I have an extra 60 accuracy. What's my hit chance? It's a 68, that's very good, and I hit it. It's a -5 accuracy on there, but still, I hit it, I get the bleeds, I get a lot of DOT going. This Antiquarian, she might want to drop Festering Vapors when the Riposte is gone, but she cannot do such a thing, because if she stops dropping Rejuvenating Vapors for even a second, the DOT is gonna stack up so high that there's literally no way she'll be able to, literally no way my opponent will be able to prevent the death blows from coming in. So now the Houndmaster is forced into a difficult situation because he goes abusive. Oh my god, I am so sorry, Willises. This match has just been going terribly. I got to go first, I got the push, I got all the crits, I got the abusive on the enemy Doggy, I got all the hits, and they go into the risky blackjack. They go for the 75. Finally they get something going their way. They don't get jinxed by jiffed by the 75% stun chance. At least there's that going for them, and they're actually going to try to punish the Flagellant here. I mean, the Abomination, which is definitely an interesting decision. Not one I think I would do, in my opinion, because he can kind of sustain himself. I feel like if you want to win here, Reign of Sorrows would probably be a much better idea. But if my opponent wants to do that, then so be it. I'm gonna just go ahead, transform Rage. You definitely don't have enough output to just bring my character down to 0 like that, so I'm not gonna stress out too much about it. Right now, if you want to save this Hunmaster, you can heal him, but here's what happens after you drop a Lick Wounds. You go to the... I mean, you have to drop the Lick Wounds anyway, because if you don't, you're gonna die. But even if you do drop the Lick Wounds, Death Star recovery, extra stress taken, you don't do anything against my team. What does that mean? What does that mean, Shepherd Doggy? That means I'm gonna keep pushing, I'm gonna keep being aggressive, and you were at like, what, 120 stress before that? Now you're at 168. All I have to do right now is drop a punish and you're dead. Even though you drop the Lick Wounds, it literally doesn't accomplish anything against the Chef Stress, because it just has way too much offense. Now, my opponent finally drops the Festering Vapors. They realize that, you know, the Rejuvenation plan really hasn't worked out that well. Their characters are just probably gonna die left, right, and center from now on. And I could try to go for a Reign of Stars here, I could go for the Punish. Both of them are wise decisions, but I'm gonna go for the Reign of Stars here, because it's gonna get the Affliction on the Man-at-Arms soon. And also the stress is probably enough to take the Houndmaster out here, and even if it isn't, I'm gonna drop the Bellow, and then it will be if he clicks and goes to Death Star. I could have just gotten a kill there on the Doggy, that's right, I could have just gone for the kill, likely would have taken him out immediately, but, well, maybe not immediately, but almost immediately. But I think just spreading the pressure a little bit here, just keeping the offense up everywhere else is smarter, because, well, let's be honest, my opponent may be able to take a lot of pressure. They don't dish out a lot, but they take a lot of pressure. I'm the opposite. I can dish out a lot of pressure, but I don't take a lot. My characters, once they do drop to Death Star, it's going to be very difficult to heal them, because the Flagellant can't do it, the Doggy can use Lick Wounds, the Abomination can use his self-heal, but once those are gone, they're gone. And there's literally nothing I can do to save my characters. All I can do is just use them as sacrificial pawns and just keep being aggressive. Now, you are at 3 HP over there, which is a very risky amount of HP to be at. I could drop a Reign of Stars here, but with the 15 prot, it's not going to be enough. I could drop a Manacles here, which would get the kill on the Houndmaster, and I feel like that would be smart. He's saving himself with the regen. I feel like getting the kill here might generally be the best play. I do imagine myself doing 3 damage. Yeah, I'll take the confirmed kill. I could have dropped a Beast Spile there or something of the likes, but I feel like just getting the kill here at this point. If it's that confirmed, then I will take it. I can still drop Reign of Stars onto the enemy backline now, and things should overall turn out okay for me here. There is an idea of me going for a guard if they decide to go for the punish right now and somehow get enough damage onto my flash, like maybe, I mean, onto my Abomination, maybe with a crit or something of the likes, but no, they're just gonna decide on the Reign of Sorrows. They do hit, they do just enough damage, that's gonna bring me down to 0 there on my Doggy, which isn't ideal to say the very least, but you know, not really too much I can do about it. And you know, it is stacking up, the pressure is stacking up. My Man-at-Arms is going to Death Star probably the next round, my Doggy is going to Death Star now, my Abomination is going to Death Star because there is a Festering Vapors coming, and once all of that happens, things will be very difficult for me. Do you think my opponents maybe could have gotten a much better chance of victory if they had just, instead of dropping Guard Dogs and Rejuvenating Vapors, they had just gone immediately for Reign of Sorrows, Hound's Harry, Festering Vapors, all those abilities? If they had gone for those immediately, like right off the bat, after getting pushed, of course, maybe they could have taken this match a bit, maybe they could have made this match way more difficult for me. That's what I'm trying to say here, way more difficult. But if they had been spamming those abilities from the start, their characters would be dead way earlier, and most likely my Flagellant would be able to drop a redeem sometime soon. So I'm not entirely sure. I'm not entirely sure what I would say about this. I'm gonna drop the Hound's Harry here. You might be wondering, Shep, no, why do you do such a risky thing? Your character's at Death Star. It's just one of them. It's just one character test store. If they want to go for the kill right now, they either go for the 25 and risk it, or they go for the 50-50, but then they miss out on getting the potential death blow on the man-at-arms, and they don't get the death blow on my Doggy either, which I'm very happy about, and now I will capitalize on it by continuing to be risky and not dropping a heal again. And do I really want to do that, or do I... I don't know, it's almost a better decision not to be greedy right now. Almost a better decision, but I'll just go Hanseri here. I feel like just going Hanseri, getting the potential affliction. I do believe it is an affliction because it hasn't gone over 100 stress, so yeah, she goes irrational, which is really bad. It's the worst, actually. I feel like doing this is just overall better. I could have waited it out. I could have gone for lick wounds there, and then they wouldn't be able to get the kill because I could just click my flagellant. I mean, they would go for the man-at-arms, then I click my flagellant, then they have to click their flagellant. None of my characters would be at that star. But by the start of next round, yeah, maybe bad things would happen. But I feel like just dropping that Hanseri there is going to be overall better for me. So right now, you aren't dropping to this store. You're close, but you're not dropping to this store. I could go ahead and be risky and just put myself at this store here and try to go for a 20% death blow onto the enemy flagellant, but I don't feel the need to do that. I'm just gonna go ahead and drop a Rain of Stars here. I'm definitely going to try to keep the Abomination alive. I do need one extra character to ensure that I win against to ensure that I win against the flagellant, but you know, speaking of extra characters, you're running out, Willises. This flagellant, he might be strong, he thinks he can do it on his own. His team has let him down, his trinkets have let him down, just his affliction has let him down. Really, not a lot of things are going well for this Flash. Not a lot of things whatsoever. I think he wants the Plague Doctor and the Grave Robber from the background, doesn't he? Yeah, yes he does. So if you didn't watch yesterday's video, this background was made by Omnipeasant. It's the links to his channel and the background itself are still going to be in the description as they were in yesterday's video. So I think right now, yeah, probably just another command buff. I need to make sure I take the Antiquarian out. Once she's gone, there's no more finisher pressure, and with no finisher pressure, things should turn out way better for me. Of course, drop a heal here, because what could happen right now, and this would be terrible, but what could happen right now is the oh wait, no, she doesn't have a finisher. Oh yeah, she does have the Black Diamond Mirror. Finisher was the previous match, so it wasn't a 50-50 when she went for it. Ah, well, that makes my life easier. That makes it very unlucky if my opponent still gets like 2 kills right now. They only get 1, which is definitely 1 kill more than I'm comfortable with, but you know, I just have to go ahead and accept it. Really, no way I can save my man-at-arms here. All I can do is just add to my stash. That's the reference, but no, it doesn't make sense here. All I can do is just be in doubt, so I will bellow it out. I could have also dropped a command buff, but I've already dropped enough command buffs to likely kill the Antiquarian here, so I'm not going to drop any more, because then I won't need them for the Flagellant. That's a little bit of extra stress, which usually I'd say, that's not too significant, but it might be significant here, because I might have to kill her through stress if I want to take this match. I am thinking of potentially dropping... Ooh, he's gone. Okay, 2v2. This is going to be a close one. He does have Rapturous. Rapturous can be a buff, but this is indeed going to be a close one. Now, before I go for the Manacles here or the V-Spell, I'm going to go ahead and drop a Punish first, because I want to make a decision based on the Punish. And yeah, I do not get the kill on there. I could drop the V-Spell here, which is a Riposte, which is very helpful, actually, extremely helpful, so I have to drop it. Even though I would like removing her action, making her have a heart attack is also removing her action. So my opponent right now probably has to try and go for a Redeem, but if I had gotten the kill there, it would have just been GG on the spot, because then they would have to heal, they would have to go Exsanguinate into the Flagellant or risk a 20% death blow, or, you know, a 10, but the first death store check at the very least, which would be absolutely terrible, or they would hit into my Flagellant and allow me to have Redeem up just immediately, and then I could drop a Redeem, just keeping aggressive, and you know, I dropped Redeems while you're dropping Exsanguinates, and then I still have all my Exsanguinates, and then you're just behind tremendously on the Flagellant. There's no way you can win, but you still go for it. Oh, and I do 0 damage with a crit, by the way. I do 0 damage with a crit. Oh, jeez. Yeah, that's why you run the spike chain. The spike chain there would have dealt damage to that flagellant, but you know, I don't have it, and I guess my opponent gets exceptionally lucky because all I have is minus 25 damage, and I still do 0 because of that 10 prot, which is definitely unfortunate for me. But was that the best play for my opponent? Well, I get a singular strike against this Antiquarian, so she's gone, and that is, as of now, a 1v2 for this flagellant, but he's down an Exsanguinate. Was that really the best play for Willises? What would you have done, dear Anon, if you're in Willises' shoes right there? Because it's definitely a complicated place to be in. I don't think she had Protect Me. Protect Me could have tried saving her a little bit, maybe Protect Me into Redeem, something like that, but I just keep being aggressive and, you know, she'd probably still die. The Flagellant would start eating a lot of bad things, and it looks like my Abomination will go down here. I really don't have a lot of ways of saving him, because my Flagellant, yeah, no, he will go down. He will go down eventually, sadly. It do go down. It do go down. Now, I can either go down with Manacles, maybe hope for the 15% stun, or I can go down with Beast Smile and try to get stress. It's not gonna matter, I don't do enough. He might have 150 stress, but for all that it's worth, he might as well have like 100 stress, because it doesn't make a difference. But oh my god, remember that point in the round 1 of the match where I said my opponent brought exotic stuff for 2 reasons, and I said, oh, the first one doesn't really matter because I'm probably not gonna go for stuns. Yeah, this just happened. I get the would-be 15% stun chance. With a crit, it's a 35% stun chance. So there goes the Flagellant action, and goes the punish on top, so the Flagellant will bleed. I will drop another punish, make him go down to this door, and now the Manacles is gonna come in with a potential Death Star check. And yeah, that is a very rough spot for Willises to be in. Let's keep in mind that Rapturous also has a chance of just oofing himself. I get another crit Manacles. I'm sorry, Abomination. You can get as many crit Manacles as you want, or, you know, as big of a Manacle crit as you want, but against 155 stun resistance, it's not gonna work. He goes for the Exsanguinate, doesn't get the 25 death blow, which is just unfortunate at this point, because you really need a 25 death blow right now if you want to have even a chance of winning this match. So the Flagellant is dropping to 0 HP here already, so I guess my best play is to just go for the Manacles. Yeah, the reason I don't really mind just healing 10 stress right now is because as much stress as he has, if it isn't like 190 or something, the punish is not going to bring him down, because he heals stress every time he gets hit. He just heals too much stress for a character like the Flagellant to bring him down. If I had a Crusader, then maybe. Well, most likely actually, the Zealous can definitely do way more stress than what the Punish can, so that would have been a possibility. But right now, let's look at this. Like, I have a Flagellant with no affliction, perfect shape, didn't drop any redeems actually. I wasn't able to, because this is Chef's stress, right? I can't purposely hurt my Flagellant with Reclaim. I just bring Rain of Sorrows and destroy the enemy team instead of myself. Actually, the old Chef's Stress had Reclaim. Not the old Chef's Stress, which was the Capra Guard back in the first Minefield tournament that I did bring it in. So that's like the first time that I did actually bring the Chef's Stress, or at that time with a different name, into a tournament. But I had a very different outlook on it. I had the what do you call it, the Crown of Thorns on my Flagellant for maximum aggression, which, I mean, I had Crown of Thorns and Hemlock on the Flagellant, so he was so squishy. He was so freaking squishy. The Abomination wasn't quite as squishy. He had the Class of the Beast and the Wretch's Cloak. Oh, self-hit from the Raptors. The Man-at-Arms had the Protector's Kite and the Insignia of rank, because I thought like, oh yeah, let's guard the Doggy and everything will be okay, right? Yeah. Then puncture happened, or, you know, I just get marked and shot through the mark. Those sort of things happened. And the punish crits also happened. And the Doggy, of course, had Attack Whistle, Crimson Hook, so still a very good team, but I didn't win that tournament because I got hit by the Halo comp, and I got hit by it pretty freaking hard. Basically, my opponent was cis, and he exploited my Flagelant's weaknesses of bringing the freaking Crown of Thorns and Hemlock on the Flagelant. I don't think I even had Gauntlet of Absolution unlocked at the time. I was unaware of how broken this trinket was. I had no idea it even existed, but... And that is going to be it for today. Big GG's to Willises. Hope y'all enjoyed today's matches, and I'll see you again another time. Cheers.